Hey guys, my name is Lisa Jauregui and this is my official PacificaMuse video entry. So why do I think I should be the next PacificaMuse? Well, I have always had a passion and a love for all things beauty, especially makeup. As long as I can remember, I've always been so fascinated with makeup and the transformation that it can give a woman. My biggest inspiration as a young child was probably my grandmother. She is the most glamorous woman you'll ever meet. Even to this day, you know, she still never leaves the house without her red lipstick on. And I will never forget her telling me as a little girl how important it was to always have your face on. So she was definitely an inspiration for me when I was a kid. As I grew up, my first job was in high school, and I remember spending my entire paycheck at the makeup counter. I got a part-time job at the makeup counter when I was in college, and I had no idea that that would really just carry along in my life. I had no idea that, you know, 14 years later I'd be doing makeup tutorials on YouTube, or I would be a professional wedding makeup artist, or I had no idea that this passion of mine would turn into something that I would just carry with me for a lifetime. So that's one reason. The second reason, I think, is that I really have a passion for inspiring and empowering other women. Just this year, I launched a beauty blog with one of my dearest friends. The site is beautyfix.io. And we launched it this year because our mission with the site is really to empower women to feel beautiful, not only on the outside, but on the inside as well. I think that for the both of us, you know, I'm in my early 30s and I have 2 young daughters, and, you know, beauty and makeup has been something that I've been fascinated with my entire life, but it's really meant different things to me over the course of my entire life. And I think at this stage in my life, I'm more confident than I was 10 years ago. I think that I accept myself for who I am more than I did 10 years ago, and I just want to kind of share that message, especially with young women, because I feel like we have a lot of pressure on ourselves to you know, to look a certain way or to live up to these expectations or these standards that we see around us. And I wish that I had this message when I was younger. So our mission with the site really is to just help other women, whether it's with a makeup trick or a tip for hair, or it's to teach them or help them build self-confidence. It's really so much deeper than just skin. So that is something that's really important to me. And okay, so what inspires me? I have to say, first and foremost, my daughters. I have 2 daughters. They're very young. I have a 3-year-old and almost a 1-year-old little girl. And I think that motherhood has just made me the woman that I have always wanted to be. You know, I think as a kid, we always want to make our parents proud. And as an adult, or a parent, I want to make my children proud. I want to be the type of woman that my children are proud of. I want to be the type of woman that my daughters want to be. I want to be the type of woman that I want my daughters to be. So I feel like every single decision that I make with them right there in my mind, because I want to, I just want to lead a good example. And that they have also been a huge driving force for launching beautyfix.io, because I want them to have this type of message as they get older and they start to learn about makeup and beauty and self-esteem and confidence and all of that. Secondly, I think what inspires me are people. A lot of things inspire me, but the type of person that inspires me is really someone who has the courage to go after their dreams, someone who has the courage to go after their goals and their passion, and who isn't afraid to put it out there. I think that fear holds us back from a lot of things. I think that people don't do things because they're either afraid of what other people are going to think of them, they're afraid of failing and what people might think if they fail. They're just afraid. Sometimes we limit ourselves because we want to stay in our comfort zone. And I think people who just have the courage and the confidence to say, you know what, I cannot live with myself if I don't try this, that inspires me. You know, I see a lot of that on YouTube, because it's definitely not easy to film yourself in a video and put it out there on the World Wide Web for everyone to see, especially a video when you started off and you have no makeup on. But I think it's brave and courageous, and it inspires me because, you know, we're all doing this to share our tips and tricks and hopefully help another woman. So that inspires me. I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to get into a couple of tricks that really help me as a mother, a busy working mom that doesn't have a lot of time for makeup but always wants to look her best. So I picked a couple of different tricks to really help open up your eyes, or to help you when you haven't had time to maybe wash your hair but you want to look like you have fresh, clean hair. So let's get started. Okay, so the first trick is one of my favorite tricks. If you ever watch any of my tutorials, you've seen me do this 100 times. And that is basically brighten and open up the eye area. So I typically wake up and my eyes are dry and red and I've had little sleep. And so I want to look awake. I want my eyes to be bright and wide open. So I like to grab a flesh tone pencil. I don't grab white. Sometimes white can look too fake. So I grab something that looks like actual, like a salmon or an actual skin tone color. And you want to grab something that's really soft. So because you're going to be lining your inner rim of your eye, you want something that is going to be soft and it's going to glide on easily. I just run a little bit of this liner in my eye, inner rim of my eye, and it just makes such a difference. It just brightens and opens up my eye. So the next trick for brighter and more open eyes is what I call a prime color. Basically what it is taking an eyeshadow, a matte eyeshadow. So you don't want anything with shimmer. You want something that's matte because matte absorbs light. And the whole idea of putting a shadow in your crease is to create the illusion of more depth. So you want to basically you want to define your crease, right? So I like to use a matte shadow that is a few shades darker than my natural skin tone. So it is a neutral shade, but it's a few to several shades darker than my natural skin tone. I just take a nice fluffy crease brush and I'm just gonna get it on the tip of my brush and I'm just gonna apply this on my crease. So I've already applied a really shimmery bright eyeshadow on my lid. So I'm gonna put this matte shade in my crease, and like I said, this is just going to create the illusion of more definition in my crease and give me a more defined crease. Now you want the shadow to be like a halo, so you don't want to just concentrate on getting it right in your crease, because what happens if you're not walking around all day with your eyes closed, no one's going to see it, right? You want it to be a halo, so you want that to apply that color in your crease, but then you want to slightly diffuse it above your crease. You can already see the difference between this eye and between this eye. So this eye looks more awake, it looks more defined, it looks more open. We're gonna go and do that to the other eye. So the next trick I'm going to teach you guys is what happens when you haven't had time to wash your hair and you really should have. I know we've all been there, and dry shampoos are great, but let's just say you ran out of your dry shampoo or you don't have a dry shampoo. I'm going to teach you a trick that'll help you absorb that excess oil and give you the look of fresh, clean hair. So what you want to do is you want to actually take a translucent loose powder. It doesn't have to be loose, it can be pressed, but translucent loose is going to be the best to work with. So I'm picking a shade like this. It's, I say shade, but it's really not a shade, it's translucent. It looks extremely white, but again, it's translucent, so once it goes on the skin, or anywhere really, it doesn't deposit any color. Its main purpose is to absorb excess oil. And depending on how much oil you have in your hair, you can either use a sponge, or you can use a big fluffy brush. I'm gonna use the brush because I don't actually have a lot of excess oil for once in my life. I don't have really dirty hair. And I'm just going to kind of load my brush up, and I'm gonna kind of blot off the excess powder by just tapping it a little bit. And what you wanna do is you just wanna pick your hair up and apply it at the root of your hair, okay? So at first it might look a little white, but if you're using truly a translucent powder, it's gonna disappear. So this is gonna absorb that oil, but it's also gonna give you volume. So when we have really oily roots, that kind of weighs our hair down and we lose any volume that we might have had at the crown of our head. This is gonna give that back to you. So this is a good trick to either absorb oil, but it's also a good trick to give you more volume too. And then you just kind of want to shake your fingers through it just to make sure that you've gotten out all that excess and you don't have, any makeup in your roots. And then that's it. I hope these tricks have helped you in some way. For me, they really just simplify my makeup routine in the morning. They help me kind of achieve that everyday glam without being high maintenance. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thanks. Bye.